Collider Movie Talk for movie fans. I'm your host, Natasha Martinez, and this is the daily show where we give you all the latest news in the world of movies, plus some insight into what it all means. Joining us today is Kristian Harloff.
Welcome back to Collider Movie Talk. Excited to talk about everything happening in the world of movies, and what a fun panel to talk movies with.
It is a fun panel. We have Jon Schnepp joining us as well.
Hey, what's up, guys? I saw Killing Joke last night. Totally downloaded. I guess that didn't happen.
And the lovely Perri Nemiroff is joining us.
Guys, don't listen to him. False alarm, and I almost had a meltdown.
Okay, in an exclusive report from Variety, the Oscar-winning actress of Room, Brie Larson, is in early talks to play Captain Marvel, one of Marvel's most popular female superheroes in the upcoming standalone movie. Variety's report cautions that it is unknown where negotiations stand at this time, with sources saying Larson is Marvel's first choice for the role and that she is leaning towards playing the part. THR then added to the report mentioning two filmmakers as potential contenders for the director's chair. They include Jennifer Kent, who directed The Babadook, and Niki Caro, who helmed Whale Rider. In each report, it mentions that Marvel is planning on attaching an actress first, with the idea of introducing them in one of its upcoming films before Captain Marvel hits theaters. Inside Out screenwriter Meg LaFauve and Guardians of the Galaxy Nicole Perlman are currently writing the script, which follows Carol Danvers, an Air Force pilot whose DNA is fused with that of an alien during an accident, giving her superpowers. Captain Marvel is currently set for release on July 6, 2018. Kristian, what do you think about Brie Larson as Captain Marvel?
No, I love it. I think it's perfect casting, and I think that it just shows the way that they have been casting and who they're going after and the caliber of actor that they're going. I actually think it's funny that Photoshop that Ray did. I actually think she looks like Katie Sackhoff, a young Katie Sackhoff in that picture, right. But who everyone was kind of rumoring to play Captain Marvel for a long time. But when we started talking about this, like who we thought would be playing, she was kind of on top of the list for me, especially after seeing Room. You and I both loved Room. I also thought Emily Blunt was going to get it at one point, but then it just started. These rumors started happening, and I think I mentioned yesterday with El Miimbe, who had broke the Planet Hulk thing. I think that they talked about this too, so he's on a hot streak right now. But I think that this particular thing will happen. It should happen. She's young enough to kind of continue on, because we don't know what's going to happen past the Infinity Wars and where they're going to continue the storylines and who's going to be in the spotlight. And you would assume Captain Marvel would be one of them. Sure. So I think she's absolutely someone that can play the role, and I think it's smart for them to lock her in. What do you think?
I think it's great. I love Brie Larson, loved Room, and I loved Long Term 12.
Short
Term
12. Yeah.
I got Long Term memory. Yeah, the Long Term is the sequel. I think she's a great actress, and now she's an Oscar winner. So it's like Marvel keeps just getting these amazing actors and actresses to play their characters, and I think Brie Larson is a perfect fit for Carol Danvers. So I know we'd been, a lot of on the Hero Show, we'd been speculating who's it going to be, Emily Blunt, but Brie Larson was right there with the speculation, because she seems to fit in, and I think she'll bring that extra energy to it.
I don't know how anyone could say a single negative thing about this casting news. I mean, I really hope, the talks do progress, deal goes through, because I'd be absolutely thrilled about this. Like you said, if you guys watched our Oscar show, I'm a huge fan of Brie Larson. Thought she definitely deserved the Oscar for Room. She's incredible. Like you said, Short Term 12 is available on Netflix now. So if you need a little more convincing, if the Oscar isn't already doing it for you, go on Netflix, watch Short Term 12, because she's incredible in that. She's got Kong Skull Island coming out, so I'm kind of curious to see how she fits into a bigger production like that. And I have no doubt in my mind that she can carry a film, but carrying an independent film is a little different than carrying a universe like this with so much more going on. So, but I have all the faith in the world, and Jennifer Kent, if she scored this gig directing this movie, this would turn out to be one of my most anticipated films for years.
Yeah, and sure, you're right. We haven't seen Brie Larson lead a big budget film. She's certainly been in it with the 21 Jump Street as well, but wasn't a lead in that one. But I think that it's not going to be a problem. I think it's going to transfer over. I think those smaller films actually help because of what she's going to be able to do and bring to the character. So I think this is going to happen, and I think it should happen. All right, what's next?
Following the record-breaking sales of their latest release in the Tom Clancy gaming series, Ubisoft is developing Tom Clancy's The Division as a feature-length movie with Jake Gyllenhaal attached to produce and star. Variety dropped the exclusive last evening, saying the studio is now looking for a writer to pen the adaptation. Developed by Ubisoft, the third-person shooter is set in a dystopian New York City in the aftermath of a smallpox pandemic, with The Division tasked with helping to rebuild operations in Manhattan. Ubisoft will package the project, possibly adding one more actor before taking it out to studios. It currently has Assassin's Creed starring Michael Fassbender in post-production at Fox and New Regency, as well as Splinter Cell starring Tom Hardy at Paramount. Schnepp, thoughts on The Division with Jake Gyllenhaal?
First of all, let's talk about Splinter Cell. Why is that not happening yet? What's going on with Tom Hardy and Splinter Cell? This, I think, is a good call for Jake. I mean, he already did a video game. It was Prince of Persia, and we don't want to talk about that, really. But this, I think, this sounds really interesting to me. Dystopian future, bunch of dudes with guns, smallpox, yay. I think it sounds like it could be a fun movie.
Yeah,
go ahead.
I mean, it's a new game, and as everyone knows, I don't play too many games, but this one I definitely want to, because as a New Yorker, this is so twisted. This would fascinate me. It's like a smallpox pandemic that starts on Black Friday. I mean, how have we not had a horror movie even that has
Black
explored
Friday,
a concept like that? So the premise in and of itself is really intriguing me, and I can get behind anything Jake Gyllenhaal attaches himself to.
I can already see him playing this role. I mean, I could see if he's played roles similar, but you could see him just with the face as he's running down the streets of Manhattan, just leading the squad or getting himself into trouble, shooting his way out. But he's another guy, similar to what we were just saying with Brie Larson, that always brings a little bit more gravity to any role that he's playing. Even with Prince of Persia, which is not a good movie, and he shouldn't have been playing that role.
Right.
You're talking about whitewashing. But that being said, there's still something about him when you're watching him. You're invested in his characters for what he does. Like, I still, and I know I'm in the minority, but I really like Southpaw. Yeah, it was a bit generic and by the numbers for the most part, but what he did with Billy Hope, I cared about it. I was like, I'm like fantasy matching Billy Hope versus Adonis Creed. I liked it that much, because he is a guy that you want to see the adventure that he's going to go on, and this is a movie that I could see him doing. He likes to play in the dark realms.
Absolutely.
Well.
I mean, it's kind of a similar thing with Demolition. I didn't really love that movie,
Right.
but I thought his performance in it was rock solid. He's kind of one of those guys that always manages to say a lot without actually performing big, if that makes any sense.
The film Enemy was pretty twisted, and of course
Yeah.
Nightcrawler. So
Yeah. All right. What's next?
Warner Brothers released a set of offbeat Suicide Squad posters centered on the team of superpowered and insane villains who are let out of lockup for a mission that's guaranteed to get them killed. The posters featured 2 group shots and 3 character ones featuring Deadshot, played by Will Smith, Harley Quinn, played by Margot Robbie, and the Joker, played by Jared Leto. Suicide Squad also stars Joel Kinnaman, Cara Delevingne, Jai Courtney, Viola Davis, Jay Hernandez, Karen Fukuhara, and Ike Barinholtz. The movie opens in theaters on August 5th. Perry, what do you think of the new posters for Suicide Squad?
I kind of dig them. I mean, I look at these colors and something excites me, but at the same time, I think they look a little cheap. Like, you would see something like this, like one of those wall decals in a kid's bedroom, kind of. But at the same time, when I reassess and I picture what these banners might look like hanging, like gigantic in a movie, that would turn some heads and catch some eyes. But, I'm not the biggest fan of Photoshop-style posters. I mean, who is? But the group shots, both of them kind of look like that.
I like 4 out of the 5 of them. I actually do like the single shot character ones. I think that it gives that fun feeling that they're trying to go for now with Suicide Squad, and I like Deadshot and the Joker, like all of them, the way that they're kind of presented there, it's just like, okay, this is gonna, it does feel like that, like you would see it in a kid's store, but I kind of think that that's what they're going for, and I also like that we're still not getting away from that it's comic books. This is what, remember, like, even though we're not going to all the way down the straight serious road here, this is comic book, let's have fun with it, and that's what they're doing. The one picture, the group shot in the middle, is the one I don't like, and the reason I don't like it is because, and correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think Deadshot is the leader of the crew. Now, if Will Smith was playing Rick Flag, I think he should be front and center. It just screams to me of, hey, I'm the movie star. Put me front and center. And it's like the marketing is, well, we should sell it with Will Smith. And we've been saying for the last, especially the last 2-3 weeks, 10 years ago, I understand leading with Will Smith. People are going to see this movie because they want to see the Suicide Squad. They want to go see the continuation of the DC cinematic universe. They're not going to see it because of Will Smith. It certainly helps that he's in it because it adds something because he's a great talent. But it just feels to me like part of his deal. Like, he's got to be front and center. And if, again, he was Rick Flag, put him front and center. He's not. Give Joel Kinnaman the shot. Let him be front and center.
Or even if you're playing the movie star game, who is Googling Will Smith right now versus Margot Robbie?
Well, yeah, I mean, but I wouldn't even Margot Robbie though. The way that the way the poster should convey the story. The story is that Rick Flag has to manage all these maniacs, put them front and center. And he's the one that's got to lead them. The Joker on the front and center there, that's fine. Even though I don't think he's going to be a big lead in the movie, but it's a Joker. You're selling with the Joker. He's in the movie, and it's like around or all these maniacs, whatever it might lead. That might be part of the story. Mm-hmm. So I'm okay with that one. It's just maybe I'm wrong. Maybe he starts to become. Maybe the Deadshot is the leader in this story, but it just smells to me like movie star wants to be front and center.
Well, I think in this movie version, they always change things from the comics. I think Deadshot is going to be the leader in this version of Suicide Squad, so it makes sense that they put Will Smith. He is the most well-known actor, and has had the most hits in films than any of the other actors. So it kind of makes sense marketing-wise to do that. I don't mind the weird color. It reminds me of Vegas. Like a very fun, like twisted, cartoony, sin-filled Vegas version of the Suicide Squad. I like all the posters. Would I buy any of them and hang them? No. But they're fun to look at for sure. I mean, my favorite one is the Joker in the center with all the Suicide Squad around. That feels the most comic booky to me.
Did you guys see the UK soccer trailer thing? Not a trailer, but it's more like a featurette. It's a soccer/football, wherever you come from. It poses each person on the squad as a certain position on a soccer team.
No.
It's really kooky and out there, but it actually does a really good job, if you go into this knowing nothing about Suicide Squad, breaking down each character and where they fit in the group. And in that promo, Deadshot is kind of like the main man on the field.
Well, that's what I'm saying. You have some intelligent people in here saying, like, apparently in some of the comics that Deadshot, like you said, was the leader, and if that's the case, I haven't seen that in trailer. Then you have a couple other morons who are like, "No, you moron! He is the leader."
Hey, you know what? I can't wait. We're 2 months away from this film coming out. I want a Batman poster. It should just say Suicide Squad, and then you see the shadow of Batman. That would be badass because he's in the movies.
You can count down for a Photoshop version of that now.
But I want a good Photoshop version. In fact, can someone paint that?
From what they're saying here, that he is indeed front and center, the guy that's going to lead him, then great, then he should be there. Mm-hmm. I don't know enough about it yet. From the trailers, can we all agree that in the trailers they make it look like a collaborative and that Flag's got to kind of manage them? They haven't shown me yet that Deadshot's going to be the leader yet, except as let's go save the Earth,
right?
Or
he gets that like Will Smith line, So it's gonna. I think it looks fun. I'm holding out all the hope for this film.
I'm right there with you.
All right, Wendy is here on the Wendy Cam. What are they saying, Wendy, today in the chat room?
Let's go all the way back up to the Brie Larson story. A lot of the people in the chat is very happy that Brie Larson's the front runner, but not everybody agrees. Pesci Got Pepsi says, Brie Larson is an inspired casting. Hope it's true. Slime 413 says, Brie is a typical choice, predictable actually, and Sanderflop says, not a right fit. Marvel is just picking popular people. For the Division story with Jake Gyllenhaal, the fans that are really into the game is really happy about this, but those who are not are selling it. Emit916 says, Division has a really cool backstory, so why not? And Max Power says, don't care about the game, but I'll buy anything with Gyllenhaal. And finally, for the new Suicide Squad posters, the chat really likes the Joker one, and Project 862006 says, Deadshot is the leader and Rick Flag just keeps them in line. I don't know. And Fat Girl Lava 68, the last OG, says, meh, I hope the movie's better than these posters.
All right. Well, thank you guys. We will check back in with Wendy after Buy or Sell. And that being said, it's time for Buy or Sell. Natasha's going to read some more topics in the world of movie news. Myself, Perri, and Schnepp just going to buy or sell it. Natasha, what's up first?
In an exclusive premiere on Collider.com, the first trailer has been released for the extended Batman v Superman Dawn of Justice Ultimate Edition, along with details on the Blu-ray and digital HD releases. The Ultimate Edition features 30 minutes of new footage incorporated into an extended R-rated cut of the film and will be available on digital HD on June 28th, along with a theatrical version of the movie, with both becoming available to purchase on Blu-ray and DVD on July 19th. The extended cut not only features brand new footage, but it's also entirely new characters that didn't appear in the theatrical cut of the film, including Jenna Malone's mystery role. It runs 182 minutes in length and is rated R for sequences of violence. Kristian, buy or sell the R-rated Ultimate Edition Blu-ray and trailer for Batman v Superman?
I'm going to buy the trailer because it really had me interested in wanting to see what it was all about. Like, I still think it, and Schnepp and Dennis actually just did a trailer reaction / review for the trailer, which is up on the channel right now if you want to check that out. But when I was watching and I said, okay, like Natasha mentioned with Jenna Malone showing up there, I'm like, oh, we heard so much. What is her character? But the thing that I really took out of it was the storyline to where Superman was killing they accused him of killing all the humans, and they put him on trial
in Africa.
In Africa, like all that stuff, and it was just kind of thrown in there the way it was cut. It was here and there, and they didn't explain it enough. But in this trailer, it's showing that it is actually a focal point of the entire story, and it's almost like that's what the entire story is, where he tells us, I didn't kill those people, and it made me go, oh, well, I want to see how this develops and what the investigation was like and how he's defending himself to the woman he loves and everything. Like, there was a lot to it. And then the part that was a little still iffy was the Bruce Wayne stuff, to where he finds the kryptonite, but then you see him kicking the crap out of Superman again. And it's like, well, to how they mix the two of those is what intrigues me. How is it going to work? And I also liked that they didn't slam you over the head with the rated R. I didn't even notice it was rated R in the trailer, because they could have done that. They could have been like, hey guys, you guys liked Deadpool? Well, guess what? Batman v Superman's going to be rated R, and here's our cut to prove it. It didn't do that at all. It just, you could have said that movie was PG-13, but we know we're getting rated R. I thought the trailer did its job in saying, okay, I'm interested. What can you show me? What did I miss last time in this extended cut? So it's a buy for me. Perry?
Oh, it's a big buy for me as well. I mean, Batman v Superman wasn't my favorite movie ever, but I walked out of it wanting to see it again. And then I got caught up with a whole bunch of other big releases that came out, so never got to. So when this thing dropped and I watched it, I mean, I am just dying now to sit through the movie again. And, you know, there's always the issue of, do we really need extended cuts? Is that the right thing to do? It should be about the theatrical release, but at the same time, the editing process and how much teeny little cuts can change a film just absolutely fascinates me. So to be able to watch the theatrical version of this and then whatever this is going to be, I mean, the little new bits that I saw really excite me. So it's just a matter of putting them into the movie, and then if it changes, you know, the tone in certain storylines. So I'm really pumped. I think it's a really well-cut trailer too.
Schnepp?
Yeah, one of my biggest complaints about Batman v Superman was the sloppy editing. And we found out even before the movie came out that there was a 30 minutes cut out of the movie, and that we were going to get some rated R Ultimate Edition before the movie even came out. And that's a big complaint of mine, is like, you know, don't tell me that I'm going to be missing stuff from your film that you just cut. Like, I'm sure it wasn't random 30 minutes, but you cut out 30 minutes of story because the film was 3 hours. And then you're like, we can't have a 3-hour Batman v Superman. Ultimately, it didn't matter because, you know, I didn't really like the film. I don't know if the 30 minutes is going to make it better. I feel like it might. It might solve some story issues and disjunctive, weird, sloppy editing for myself. So I'm looking forward to it. I loved Zack Snyder's director's cut of Watchmen. I loved the Watchmen movie, and I love the ultimate cut even better. So the way Snyder was making this opera, it feels like it had to be bigger. It had to have the full amount. You know, I've heard it. So they had a 4-hour cut. Is this 3-hour cut the perfect length? The thing that'll make me actually like the film? I'm really interested to see.
Well, it's funny because you're right, Perry. A lot of times, sometimes when they put the extended cuts out, it's just to, oh yeah, we'll sell more Blu-rays that way. I don't think it's the case with Batman v Superman, because it was a long movie, first of all, and then there was so much, you could tell, and that was what, a lot of people's complaints was that the editing was very sloppy and things were cut out. So this might be a movie very similar. Not that the original Lord of the Rings trilogy was sloppy, because it wasn't, but the extended versions to me are better movies than the regular versions, because there's so much more detail in there, and there's so much more that you need to tell the story. So maybe giving the benefit of doubt here to Zack Snyder that this is the cut that needs to be shown in order to get everything in the movie. Now, you might, there's certain plot things you're not going to be able to change. It's just part of the plot. So I am intrigued to see what this extended trailer is going to do for the film. I think it's something that we should absolutely do a commentary for.
Oh, yeah,
because
for sure.
It's like the first time everyone watching it kind of together would be discovering, are we going to leave it the same exact way we left the theatrical cut, or are we going to see it in a brand new light? I think that this is a very, very different type of extended cut that's going to hit Blu-ray.
Part of the problems with the editing, too, at this wasn't just that we had plot holes. The movie also has so few proper transitions, natural feeling transitions. So I hope, in addition to maybe answering some of the plot concerns we have, this could actually make the movie just overall flow better.
I'm
which
glad
would
you
be a
mentioned that,
nice-
because that's one of my biggest, as an editor, I'm so used to like, oh, why are we just jump cutting into this weird close up? There's a lot of weird things where it's like, where you're trying to cut for time. I could see some real sloppy decisions. Hopefully all that's been changed.
All right, we will see very soon. All right, Natasha, what's next?
Okay, according to a report from The Hollywood Reporter, Steven Spielberg's Ready Player One adaptation has added Deadpool and Silicon Valley actor TJ Miller to the already impressive cast list that includes Ty Sheridan, Ben Mendelsohn, Mark Rylance, Simon Pegg, and Olivia Cook. THR states that Miller will be playing the character I-Rock, a terrible online forum troll. The story is set in the year 2044 and follows a teenager named Wade Watts, who is the first person to discover a key left behind by the late Oasis creator James Halliday. After Halliday's death, a worldwide Easter egg hunt ensues to find a hidden treasure that gives the discoverer control over Oasis, which in this dystopian future essentially means control over the world. Ready Player One is set to hit theaters on March 30th, 2018. Schnepp buy or sell TJ Miller as an online forum troll in Ready Player One.
I totally buy this. TJ Miller is amazing. He's such a funny guy. I mean, even in Transformers, he was good. I hated seeing his horrifying death scene where you're rotating around his fried corpse. Very weird. Check it out if you haven't seen it. It's called Transformers: Age of Extinction. Amazing film. But TJ Miller does no wrong for me. I love him in Silicon Valley. I think him being cast as an internet troll in the future is unbelievably just like perfect casting. What an incredible cast. Ben Mendelsohn, Simon Pegg. I mean, I cannot wait to see this film. I guess I have to wait like almost 2 years.
Yeah.
But hearing this casting decision is great news. I buy it.
I would sell it if it was anyone except TJ Miller at this point to be an internet troll. It'd be perfect. If you watch what he did in Deadpool, I mean,
right.
yeah, it'd be perfect. And even the commercials that he does and his humor calls for this.
Yeah.
I mean, this is what he does. So I think it was brilliant that if they just gave him the role or they had him audition, whatever it was, brilliant that they went after him to do this, because even if it's a 5-minute scene, it will be memorable because you can see him. If someone said to you, we need an internet troll, we were thinking TJ Miller. Yes, no one else. That's it.
I know.
Got it. We're done.
Instantly cast.
It's
no
it.
casting call.
Yeah, so this is really, really good. And I'm with you, man. Like you hear this cast and I want to read the book because from what I hear that the book is just great. And to have Steven Spielberg, because we talked about this, someone that I like to see return to prominence, and I said it to wait before I said it, was Steven Spielberg with the big blockbusters. Because the Oscar stuff, he's still got all that stuff locked down. I mean, even you love Bridge of Spies or Lincoln, he's still doing those right. He just hasn't had the real big, I mean, Tintin, some people said, but that movie didn't do, I love Tintin, but it didn't do great in the theaters. We haven't had that big blockbuster from Spielberg in a very long time, the beloved one, because the last one you could say is A Crystal Skull.
That wasn't beloved.
That if you look at Rotten Tomatoes, it's still got like 84% or whatever it does. But for the most part, you're right. It's not like one of those ones that just burst out at you. That's a Spielberg blockbuster. And I feel Ready Player One could do it. And adding people like TJ Miller and Mendelsohn and Ty Sheridan could give us the Spielberg of old. So this excites me.
As for TJ Miller, obviously I buy it. This character was practically made for him. When this broke, I had to kind of do a double take because it's been a year since I've read the book, but I think the character is only in maybe 2 or 3 scenes, so I imagine they're going to beef up the role a little bit. But as to what you were saying about Spielberg, I have all the faith in the world in him and this cast and the source material. The only thing that I'm a little nervous about is how they're going to incorporate Oasis into the live action material, because if that stuff doesn't look right, it can go one way or the other. And I'd like to think that all the designs will be on point, but you kind of just never know with that stuff. So I've got my fingers crossed. This is one of my favorite books that I've read in recent years.
Wow. Someone said that as a cross between Willy Wonka and The Matrix. Is that accurate?
I've never really thought about it that way. I don't know.
Wendy's shaking her
Wendy's
head.
said
Yeah.
I totally disagree with that.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Because it's a cross with a lot more things. Like maybe there are elements of that
Right.
in this, but there's so many more things to it. I mean, the freaky thing to me is this isn't what the book is trying to sell. But if Oasis existed in the real world and I was a kid, Wade's age, the main character, I would probably sit with that headset and that contraption. I mean, I would get sucked into this world, no doubt.
Yeah, I made the mistake of the day that I got it, I lent it to Ellis about 7 to 8 months ago. Said he was going to read it. Never read it. Have no idea where it is.
I have an extra copy I will
Do
give
you?
you. Yep.
Please. All right, what's next?
A new trailer has arrived for the action thriller Collide, starring Nicholas Hoult, which tells the story of an American tourist who winds up in trouble after a heist goes wrong, in which he was intending to pull in the money needed to give his girlfriend, played by Felicity Jones, a kidney transplant. He's now in a race against time to save her from a gang of thugs led by Anthony Hopkins. The movie was shot way back in 2014, but got tied up in Relativity's bankruptcy troubles. The film is finally headed to theaters August 19th. Perri, buy or sell the new trailer for Collide?
I wouldn't say this thing looks terrible, but there is nothing special about this trailer whatsoever. I mean, yeah, I can get pumped about Felicity Jones and Nicholas Hoult leading a movie because I like the two of them, and I kind of want Nicholas Hoult to finally get that leading role. I actually kind of liked him in Kill Your Friends, so I think he's got a lot of potential in those positions, but this is there's nothing to this at all. I mean, I got a little bit of a kick out of Ben Kingsley, though. And what's the line Anthony Hopkins says in this?
Something, Juliet, blah, blah, blah,
no,
Juliet.
it's when he goes, run, piggy, run, or something.
Right.
I give him a little.
So it's a sell for you.
I will sell this.
I want to buy it, but I gotta sell it also. Listen. I want this movie to be good. I really do. Like, I root for this type of movie. It just looks like a movie that all of them would have done before they were stars, and they were trying to come up. And the director hasn't really done anything yet, so I don't know enough about him to say that it's going to be that I have faith in it or I don't. I think he was a music video director before this, or for them. I think he's directed one or two others, but nothing that we've really heard of. But Hopkins, Kingsley playing bad guys. Yeah, that sounds great. And then Nicholas Hoult in this kind of a starring role. But the beginning is kind of, they're laying in the snow. I thought it was going to be one of these kind of Me Before You things. And then it just goes in this totally different direction. But it's like she's laying in the snow and she starts twitching. Oh, she needs a kidney. Wait, where did that, what happened? First, there's going to be one of those.
Hey, now I got to go back to the old things I used to do.
Yeah. And it's like, wait, you can't, why not just get, I don't know what's happening. As I'm watching the trailer and I'm saying, come on, be good, get like a Guy Ritchie feel, do something. And then I just never. It was almost like a Need for Speed at one point, mixed with, I guess Fast and Furious is the same thing. But it was just, yeah, it was trying really hard to be cool, and it just never felt like that to me. But I hope it's a movie that I'm rooting for, that I want to be great. And Felicity Jones seems like she's just kind of a side character,
right,
and there's nothing else for her
she
to
needs
do.
A kidney. She needs a kidney.
Yeah, it's like True Romance, to where, you know.
I'm glad you brought up True Romance, because that's exactly what these feel like. It feels like Ben Kingsley is doing the Gary Oldman cameo in True Romance, and maybe Anthony Hopkins has a bigger cameo, but he did 2 days on set. He does this one scene in the warehouse, he does this one scene where he says "Run, Piggy, run" or whatever. But you know what? I'm buying this silly trailer. Okay. I just want to retitle it Gennaro or something like Generic. Just instead of Collide, it just give it a really weird title and make people be like, what is this movie? Recut the film, add some animation, add some really bizarre scenes with lizards eating each other. I think it would be amazing if you just remade this movie.
I think it did have a weird title before, and then they changed it to
Did
Collide.
I think
I can't remember what it was.
It should have a weird title.
It was Collider the movie.
Collider the movie?
Yeah, starring.
I just think they should add random animation and scenes of violence and maybe some World War II footage.
Yep. All right, let's check back in with Wendy on the Wendy Cam. Wendy, what were they saying about the buy or sell segment today?
Well, let's go back up to the BvS story. A lot of the chat is buying this. Forgotten Boy says, woohoo, I love the trailer. Can't wait to get the Blu-ray. Gabriel Ruocotonavio says, the Blu-ray will hopefully make the movie coherent as it was originally intended. And Blade GTR says, sell this big time. I think it's just a way for them to try and cover the critical bomb that was the original by saying, no, wait, this was the true version we wanted to do. For TJ Miller being in Ready Player One, I'm seeing a lot of buy for this. A few sells because they don't think TJ Miller is funny. Supreme Taco Snoke says TJ Miller can do no wrong. Hilarious actor. He was half the comedy of Deadpool. Ryan Pintoy says, can't wait for Ready Player One. After reading the book, TJ Miller will certainly kill it in the row. And finally, for the Collide trailer, I'm seeing a lot of soft buys, lots of sells. Jason Murillo says, a gang of thugs led by Hopkins, soft buy. Yeah. Keith Jones says, I don't think this would have been good in 2014, and it won't be good now.
Oh, poor Anthony Hopkins. Okay, so that's everything. Thank you, Wendy. In the world of buy or sell, now it's time for opening this week. We are going to talk about all the movies, well, one of the movies opening this week, brought to you by our friends over at AMC. Natasha, what are we talking about this week?
Pop star, never stop stopping. Childhood friends Connor Andy Samberg, Owen Jorma Chacon, and Lawrence Akiva Schaefer found fame and fortune after forming the hip-hop group The Style Boys. Boys with a Z. Owen and Lawrence faded into the background when frontman Connor left the band to launch a successful solo career. Now the egotistical singer decides to film a documentary about his life while he's still on top. When his second album flops, the camera is there to capture his world as it comes crashing down.
Okay, so this movie, look, I've been rooting for Andy Samberg for a very long time because, back in the day, Mark and I were we knew him from the stand-up days, and we saw him kind of rise up and get Saturday Night Live, and he's a good dude. You root for him, and then you see what happened to him in like those Lazy Sunday skits in the music. What he kind of revitalized and he pretty much invented the digital short on Saturday Night Live. So I didn't know what to expect with this movie. And I laughed. I laughed hard during this movie. Is it a great movie? No, I'm not going to say it's great. It is a movie that towards the end kind of falls out a little bit, and at the very end, the musical song is a little anticlimactic. But that being said, there are some heavy, heavy laughs to be had in this movie. The first half an hour, I lost it. I think that if you enjoyed what he did Saturday Night Live with the digital shorts and the way that they had the chemistry that the Lonely Island guys have, the great cameos, it's enjoyable. Is it silly and stupid? Yeah, but that's sometimes why you want to go see a comedy, because it's silly and stupid. It doesn't take itself seriously. It has a lot of fun with exactly what it's doing. It takes some great shots at pop culture, and it's outrageous, and it definitely earns its rated R. So if you want to go see a silly kind of dopey comedy that you'll get some cool laughs at, I would recommend Popstar for sure. Did you get a chance to see it yet?
I didn't see
Do you want to see
Popstar.
it?
Yeah,
Okay.
I think I do. I mean, you made me a little curious. That
Okay.
seems to be the theme of the weekend, though. It's like, yeah, it's good, but I don't know. And then it's like a caveat in the end. And I feel the same way about Ninja Turtles and Me Before You. So I liked those, but can't recommend them to everyone.
I'm looking forward to seeing it. I've been following these weirdos since Channel 101, The Boo. So, I think they're incredibly funny. And, Hot Rod was really funny. It had a lot of bizarre scenes in it. I'm looking forward to every time they like pushing the limits. I want to see how far they're going to push it with Popstar. I kind of, like you said, it's like, the story's pretty rote. It's like, it's not like a rocket scientist. Like,
Right.
is it going to have a twist ending? No, it's probably the band's going to get back together, whatever. I just want to see how silly they can make this stupid story from beginning to end. So I'm in it.
They get pretty silly.
All right, I want to see them.
You'll get some laughs out of it for sure.
Good.
Okay, that is opening this week by our friends over at AMC. Speaking of opening this week, we also have Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, which we talked about, I believe, on Tuesday. However, there was a non-spoiler review that was put up on the channel yesterday. Go and check that out. It's up on the channel right now. And Perri, it was you, Mark, Dennis
And John.
and John were all on doing the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle non-spoiler review. Go and check that out. Before we move to mailbag, make sure that you guys, we're going to do those live tweets today like we do every day. So make sure that you include both Natasha and Collider Video. Go on over there, tweet away, get your questions on, as Natasha will pick those out and read them in a bit. First, it's time for mailbag. You guys have been submitting some questions via mailbag. We have been going through them, and we picked out some today. Natasha, what's first?
Darwin Gomez writes, "Hello, Collider crew, all the way from the Dominican Republic. After the poor reception of movies like The Huntsman, Winter's War, and Alice Through the Looking Glass, both critically and financially tanking, could it be that people are getting tired of major studios making a sequel to everything? Personally, I don't think we need a Maleficent 2 or a sequel to Frozen. Do you think there's a sequel fatigue? And if so, will it hurt very anticipated movies like Finding Dory at the box office? Thanks for taking the time and keep on doing a great show."
No, I don't think there's sequel fatigue. I think that there's cash grab fatigue. And that's just a matter of, there can be an argument that everything is a cash grab because everything's for money. But I have a different definition of what a cash grab is that it's when it's just made to just capitalize on the success of the first movie. Even though I don't think The Huntsman or Snow White and the Huntsman was a super successful movie, the idea of a second one was ludicrous.
Without Snow White.
Shouldn't have been made. It just shouldn't have been made. Maleficent 2, even though I didn't like the first one, I understand why they're going to go for it again because it was a monster hit. And they are going to go after it because if there's a story to tell and it's a good story, and Disney has proven that they have they're trying to prove more with their stories. However, some can make the case, well, what about Alice 2, which I'm sure you would make the case for, and that movie to me seemed like an unnecessary sequel.
Right.
But there are some movies like Frozen 2, I could see there could be a sequel, because what they used to do when Eisner was in charge, they didn't do sequels of their animated projects theatrically. They did them all direct to DVD and Blu-ray and capitalize on that market, but now they put more time into it, they put more money into it, they put more effort into it. So I think sequels, if there's more ways to tell the story you want to tell, are absolutely fun, can be necessary to further a story along. So I don't think it's sequel fatigue. What do you think?
I have fatigue. I'm fatigued when people talk about fatigue. Everyone's like, is there superhero fatigue? Is there a sequel fatigue? Listen, relax. This has been going on since before you were born, this person who wrote the question. I'm sure you might have some fatigue from certain things like Alice Through the Looking Glass, which you should, because it was a stupid sequel and it wasn't necessary. There's tons of sequels. Did you like Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom? Did you like The Empire Strikes Back? Did you like... Those are sequels that had to happen. I mean, that's what we've been experiencing for like the last 40 years are sequels, and that's how it is. So is there a sequel fatigue? No, it's basically bad sequels are happening and bad decisions are happening for movies that shouldn't have sequels. It's like, well, this is money based. So when you have something that made $1 billion, someone who's in charge of the studio is like, get that sequel going. Why? Because of the cavalcade of cash that they think the second movie is going to have. If it comes out like 6-7 years too late, everybody forgot about it, the kids are all grown up, they don't want to see the movie that their parents forced them to see in the first place, so henceforth you have a giant bomb. I mean, there's a whole bunch of different reasons that sequels don't make the money that the first movie did, but there's also tons of movies like, look at Creed, that's the seventh movie in the Rocky franchise technically, and that's still going. You have all these different movies that are basically franchise. Look at James Bond. There's limitless amounts of sequels with recasting the main character that have been being made since 1960. So there is no such thing as sequel fatigue. It's just shitty sequels that suck. And sometimes you get those that come out. You also have amazingly well done sequels. So look at The Bourne Identity. There's a fourth one coming out.
I mean, you guys pretty much said it, but I think sequel fatigue is a real thing simply because it's a feeling. If a bad sequel comes out, you're bummed about sequels and you don't want to see anymore. So it really all comes down to what you feel in the moment. I mean, that's what I think we're talking about when we talk about fatigue anything. It's just how you're feeling right now. But us talking about it isn't going to change anything, especially when you got movies like Transformers that make so much money. I mean, even, if you want to compare Monsters, Inc. to Monsters U, Monsters U made more money. The Hunger Games movies. The second one, I think, made more than the first, and then the other ones made just about the same amount. I mean, we could keep talking about this, but if people keep coming out to see it, it's almost like a pointless argument to have because there's no stopping the machine, and that's what this industry is.
But I think tagging something with like the superhero fatigue or sequel fatigue, it's not real. It's just, hey, I saw the second movie of the first movie that I liked and I didn't like the second movie. I don't want to see a third one of that one. Yeah. But am I going to go see sequels to other movies that I love that already had sequels? Yes.
For me, I agree with you 100%. I think fatigue for me is when a genre dies or something dies. That's when it's fatigue. Like like anytime someone brings up superhero fatigue, I'm like, no, even the box office is a little bit down. Like when they're talking about Civil War having fatigue, even Batman v Superman having fatigue, they made Batman and Superman almost made $1 billion, almost.
Yeah, it's like 870.
It's $870 million.
It's
and
a lot
regardless, don't worry about what the budget costs. We're talking about as far as how many people went to see it as far as box office goes. That's a lot of money. Civil War, same thing. When the Western genre, when it was as popular as it was back in the 50s and 60s, when that died out, people had fatigue of it and people didn't care about it anymore. There's a fatigue is that after a while, people don't want to see it anymore and they stop paying for it. That to me is what fatigue is. I'm tired of it. I'm not watching it. Fatigue does not exist for superhero movies right now, and it certainly doesn't exist for sequels because people are still going to see sequels. I'm with you that they're tired of crappy movies. Like, if you continue to make crappy movies, now, using Perry's example of the second movie making more money, because the first one, if they liked it, they want to see the continuation. Now, the third one will take a big hit if the second one sucks. And then you'll get fatigued of the franchise, not of sequels.
Decent example of that is Hunger Games. I mean, it's not, I don't want to say it took a big hit because all those movies made a ton of money. It went down.
Totally.
And that's, I mean, I think we had a similar thing with, God, I wish I wasn't bringing up YA adaptations now, but Twilight too. Wasn't there like a lull at the end?
Yeah,
I
but
think there
everybody,
was.
and I think it went up to the last one because everyone wanted to see those stupid vampires die. Yeah,
I'm curious to look up the Harry Potter numbers now too.
I think the last two crushed. Yeah, those movies got
that
significantly better.
finished.
Those two.
That definitely finished
yeah.
bigger.
Yeah. All right, Natasha, what's next?
Okay, Verona writes, "Hey movie talkers, have you ever laughed so hard in a movie theater that you fell off your seat? This happened to me when I saw the Hulk Loki scene in Avengers, and the guy next to me looked at me like I was crazy because I couldn't get up for a few minutes. I'd like to hear any funny experiences like this if you've had any. Thanks."
I've had 3 that I can remember, like bawling, not falling off the chair, but like tears streaming down my face. It's happened 3 times. First time was when I saw Under Siege 2 in the movie theater. It's so bad, but like, yeah, so like there were some things that happened in that movie, and I just remember being at a theater in New York and just couldn't believe how bad it was, but I was laughing so hard at it. The other one, 2 words for you, puppet sex. When I went and saw Team America and that happened, I was losing it, couldn't believe it. And then the first Bruce Almighty, or whatever, the first movie, Bruce Almighty, when Steve Carell is the newscaster, and I didn't know who he was, didn't expect it coming, and was crying laughing. So those are the 3 moments that hit me. How about you?
I feel like I'm going to get called out for saying this movie so many times, but freaking Sausage Party.
Oh, yeah.
Work in progress. I was sitting there with a drink in my hand and was laughing so hard that I might have ruined my jeans that night.
no.
I was just spilling it all. I mean, from start to finish, I was laughing, and it's one of those things where the worst thing I do, and like you can attest to this, I do it in news too. When something funny happens, I don't laugh out loud, but I sit there and I look like over and over. So she's looking at me, you can see my shoulders going, and then
I
we
can just see her out of my peripheral vision just like shaking at whatever stupid thing I just said. And
I managed to
we have
screw
do it
up
all over
every
again.
take. But yeah, that is what I do during movies. And a recent one where I caught myself doing that, Pitch Perfect. You know the character Lily who just mumbles that
Yeah.
really
Oh, yeah,
random
yeah,
stuff?
yeah.
Not so much the second movie, but the first movie, first time I saw it, everything she said, it was one of those things. She'd say it, and I would be giggling, and it wouldn't
In the
stop
first one.
until in the first one.
Yeah, they
Definitely
replayed her in
first
the
one.
second one.
Yeah, I have
Yeah.
issues with the second one,
Yeah.
but where you're giggling like 10 minutes after something happens, and everyone's just like, stop.
Yeah, I agree.
And I cannot wait to see Sausage Party now. When does that come out? Does that come out?
Comes out in August.
Oh wow,
Yeah. Schnepp?
It's 2 months. All right.
I'm pumped.
For myself, it's I never fell out of my chair, but I remember Dumb and Dumber when they were like they ate like hot. They had the peppers and they were like squeezing the ketchup and mustard.
Oh,
Just
yeah.
that ridiculous scene of stupidity. Like when things are so dumb, that's what makes me laugh. And also Ren and Stimpy. We're not in the theater, but I was surrounded by a bunch of people. I was really stoned, and I had never seen Ren and Stimpy. And they were like, "You've never seen Ren and Stimpy?" So they surrounded me and then put it on. They had a VHS and played like 20 minutes of all these episodes, and I was like kicking the chairs and laughing uncontrollably, crying.
I
So-
still have nightmares from the teeth pulling episode of that.
Oh.
I don't know why that just came to mind, but I'm just picturing it now.
the
It's
shiny
making me
red
upset.
button. The shiny red button. Yeah.
That face
Come
is
on.
incredible. All right, now it's time to go to live Twitter questions. You guys have been submitting some. Natasha's been going through them. Natasha, what are they saying?
Marker Marches asks, "What do you think of the Sicario sequel named Soldado, missing both Emily Blunt and director Villeneuve?"
I don't like that at all. Is that reported? Is that happening? Yeah, that's
What?
Does that mean no Deakins either? Because Deakins made it look beautiful.
Right.
Obviously, Villeneuve was the whole reason that movie I think worked in the first place. Emily Blunt, if she wouldn't have been in this one, and those two, Deakins and Villeneuve, were back, I could live with it because of where her story went at the end of the first one. But to have all 3 of them missing, I don't like that.
We're talking about the sequel to Sicario.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
don't like that at all.
Emily Blunt's story ended in Sicario. So when I've heard that they were making we were just talking about sequel fatigue. When I heard they're making a Sicario 2, I was like, what is going on with our planet? What is wrong with this? Like, unless there's a story and they're like naming it something different, it makes sense to me that Emily Blunt's not in it because her story ended. So that's one of the things I totally agree that, yeah, it's got to be a different story. If they're going to stay in that world, that makes sense. I'm willing to go back. And even without Deakins and, how do you say his last name? Villeneuve. Because he's off doing Blade Runner right now. I'm interested in seeing where they're going to go. So, I mean, I'm not 100% like angry that Emily Blunt's not in it because technically that just makes sense. If she came back, it would betray the first movie.
But you'd be okay without those 2 guys also?
Yes.
Really?
I'd like to, as long as they get someone as talented,
Okay.
hopefully.
Not having the director definitely worries me, because for some reason when I hear that, I almost picture something of the quality of a straight to VOD sequel, which obviously worries me.
Starring Anthony Hopkins and Ben Kingsley.
Yeah, really. I would still watch that, to be honest. Not having Emily Blunt makes me like the idea more, not because I don't want to see more of her. She's fantastic in the first film, but for the exact reason you just said, is that by putting her in there, we're forced to continue her story, and that is not a movie to me. That could potentially be a cash grab.
Yes, I agree. Is the same writer who wrote the original Sicario writing this one? That's more important.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
So I mean, we don't know that, but if it is, then that will make me
there
definitely
might be a
want to see
Collider News video coming, so I will research that for you.
Awesome.
All right, what's next?
Okay, Marlon T asks, what do you all on Collider Movie Talk think about monster trucks?
I didn't see the trailer.
Wow, I can't believe I saw this morning after watching Collide. What a big, horrible mess.
Really?
It looks so dumb. I couldn't even believe it. I was like, I saw the little clip and it's like monster trucks, and I saw a dude screaming. I was like, that looks like Havoc from the X-Men. I was like, all right, I'll watch it. Monster trucks, and it's a monster inside of a truck. It's like a little weird, like walrusy creature with like extendo legs, like inside a monster truck, and yet it's played very straight. And that's the thing that bummed me about the trailer. You have such a dumb idea like that. Make it as dumb as you possibly can imagine, because then a bunch of other dumb walrus creatures come in and they're in the other cars, and so you have three of them like flipping around with just watch the trailer. That's all I can say. Watch the stupid trailer. Monster trucks.
I was on the set of this film 2 years ago. I did the set visit for this, and then I sat on it for 2 full years, which obviously makes you worry a little. But at the same time, on the set, we knew you'd have this monster who needs to be incorporated into real monster. Like, one of the coolest things about this set visit was, well, first of all, when you do a set visit, a lot of the times it's for a big movie, like a sequel or something that comes with a really rich mythology. This pre-existing mythology. This was a completely original story. So as like a reporter being on that set, my mind was blown, because here's all this new stuff, and it was all cool and different, and it was so original. And we got to see they have a version of, at the time we were on set, it was called Big Ugly, which I think is a much better name than Creech for the creature. I don't know who made that change, but that's awful. This car is a legit car, and then there's someone with a big remote control, so they can make the car like hop up on a wheel and wave at you and stuff. And I got a kick out of that. I thought the idea was pretty clever in terms of, kids being really into it. I mean, the idea of a monster controlling a car, that sounds like a fun thing to me, but 2 years later, and when you see the trailer and you see the final version of that CG monster,
you're like, what is this? This is a strange, like a midnight movie. That's what it is.
Would you rather see this or a Tetris trilogy?
Whoa. I'll see monster trucks before I see Tetris, but that's unfair. Look, I'm just saying, you get to see the trailer. It's free. Watch the trailer and make up your own mind. It just looks so ridiculous. If they only pushed the stupid a little bit farther in the trailer, I would have liked it.
All right, what's next?
Okay, Luis de la Pena asks, what stars do you think have lost their mojo?
Lost him. I mean, Vince Vaughn hasn't had something in a bit. He's, his comedies haven't worked, and he tried to go back to the drama a little bit with True Detective.
Johnny Depp has lost his mojo in a big way.
Yeah,
I mean, Transcendence, Macadamia. What's the stupid thing with the mustache?
Oh yeah, that's
Montrose. What was it called?
Oh,
horrible.
Mordecai.
Mordecai. There we go. Yeah.
Almost forgot about that one, thankfully.
Thanks for bringing
I
that
want to
up.
bring that one back up. So yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Okay.
gone.
Yeah, he's probably my top example of that. I don't know. I guess after X-Men, I see it a little in Jennifer Lawrence. I worry when she doesn't give something 100%, because she's an incredible actress. I really do think she's one of the best out there. But, Deadeye's an X-Men to me.
Yeah,
I'd like to see her return to something like Winter's Bone.
Yeah.
Like what brought her in. I think she should take a little more time to pick the material for her next
Well, I'm
couple
really
films.
pumped for Passengers. I think that could be it.
So
Her and
too.
Chris Pratt, and that material tested so well at CinemaCon this year. So I think that could be it.
Well, I'm
Great.
going through the chat room here, and they're going into they're talking about Jai Courtney, and I don't know, he's really hasn't had a chance yet. Eddie Murphy, Will Smith, Adam Sandler, somebody for sure. Nick,
I would take Will Smith off that list.
I would
Even though
too.
Concussion
I
wasn't the
would too.
greatest, he was fantastic.
I
in
agree with you.
Concussion.
Nick Cage. Someone said Chris Pratt. I think he's still doing pretty well.
Chris Pratt,
yeah, and Mike Myers, but he's been kind of gone.
He gave up. You have to food guru or
I
whatever.
guess
Love
it also
guru.
depends what we mean by losing your mojo. You know,
Yeah.
I viewed it as kind of losing the drive to really put 100% in a movie, not necessarily making bad movies or having lower box office
Right.
numbers.
I think
No,
so
there's
when you're
the-
on that
yeah.
streak. When
There's
you're
a
on the-
difference. Like some actors take those like I'll do all those straight to DVD movies. It doesn't matter. I'll do whatever. Because some actors in the right though, as an actor is a tool, and they just hey look, I'll do whatever movie. It doesn't matter. I'm an actor. Use me as you will. So
Because Nick Cage is the perfect person of someone who
does
is not
everything.
doing good movies, but that guy is given 110%
Yes.
to everything that he does. That movie he did with Elijah Wood just now called The Trust.
Yes.
He is loving that. He
Yeah.
is loving every bit of dialogue he gets in that movie.
love that trailer, and I'm really looking. I didn't see Ghost Rider 2, but that he's like somebody released some footage of him before they put the skull on. He looks like a weird panda. Like I want to see a director's cut of just all the Ghost Rider movies, just of him without the skull face, like acting out like pantomime or whatever. It's pretty awesome.
All right, what's next?
Pantomime.
Okay. Chet Blazer asks, "What's your best movie of the year so far?"
Green Room.
Ooh,
It's my
well, I
favorite
haven't
movie.
seen that one yet.
And my top, just like for a little clarification, my top 10 at the end of the year tends to have something at the top that not only did I love and think is a great film, but I will watch and rewatch over and over. I've seen that movie 3 times. No doubt when it comes out on DVD and Blu-ray, I will own it and watch it over and over again.
Which one?
Green Room.
Really?
I'll-
Wow.
I'll have
I
to-
love Green Room.
I think it's still a young year, but I'll have 3 in my mind. I mean, there's The Nice Guys, which I thought should have been done a lot better. I love that movie. Jungle Book and Civil War. Those are-
Jeez, it's too early for me.
It's
It's
early.
like, I mean, there's a bunch of blockbusters that I've seen, but
Yeah.
I don't know how those are going to fare in even 4 more months when the Oscar movies start coming
Yeah.
out. So,
What about-
no answer.
Was The Witch this year or was that last year?
Yes.
Which
was
was
this
The Witch
year.
this year?
This year.
I would put that in my top 10 right now.
It,
I
it would
really,
be
really,
pretty
really
close
like
behind
that.
Green Room for me.
Yeah. Zootopia is a good one too.
Yeah.
Okay. What's next?
Okay, Slime Y'all asks, "Do you think it's confusing for Sony to be releasing the original Ghostbusters in theaters before the new one comes out?"
I didn't even know they were doing that. But yeah, that would be confusing. But it depends on how many
Are
theaters.
they doing that?
I didn't
Yeah.
even know that.
I've
but
heard
how-
that, yeah.
How many theaters though?
I'm sure it's a limited type of thing. I think
Yeah.
it's only a good idea as long as they get this whole story straight and they
Yeah.
put it out to the public very clearly in
Right.
terms of how this new Ghostbusters movie connects to the original. So unless they figure that out and they convince everyone that it's a very specific way, maybe it'll confuse people.
Yeah.
I didn't know it was coming back out. So.
And
I
it's gonna
guess
have a-
maybe they also mean in terms of the title. It's like, do I
Yes.
buy a ticket to the
this
original or did I buy
Ghostbusters?
one to the new one?
Yeah, I guess it could be also, but I also don't think it's going to be that wide to
I
confuse.
bet it'll only be like in like 5 major cities or something.
Yeah.
It can't be that big of a release.
I envision it like a fun draft house thing, where
Totally.
they'll screen it in a draft house, you have a couple beers, and there's a Q&A or something at the end.
Right.
I would go to that.
All right, let's do 3 more.
Okay, Cole Fisher asks, "Why is there so many mixed reviews for XMen Apocalypse? Personally, I think the film is solid but inferior to the past entries."
You just answered. Did you want to say?
I agree.
Yeah.
I absolutely agree with that. That's exactly how I feel about it. I thought it was solid. I thought the other 2, well, not all the past entries, the last 2, I thought that it was that
Right,
First Class,
First Class and
Days
Days
of
of
Future Past were far superior. But I really enjoyed watching.
Yeah, I mean, my review is the perfect example of a mixed review because I love the first half of the movie and I would go back and watch it and rewatch it again. But the second half, I was disappointed.
Yeah, same here. I mean, that's why there's so many mixed reviews because it's a mixed movie. It's like it doesn't have a good ending. It kind of mixes up some really amazing elements with some not so good elements, some really amazing writing with not so great character development. So mixed bag.
I'm still so high on Nightcrawler, though. I would love a movie with more Nightcrawler.
All the new X-Men, that's what I've been saying is like they show, some stuff. And I don't want to ruin the movie if you haven't seen it yet, but there's the new X-Men in it, Jean Grey, Cyclops, Nightcrawler. I like even Jubilee, the few scenes she's in. I want to see that team do a movie. They should be in production on that now. I don't want to wait 5 years to see that team. That's the only kind of bummer for me is like that as well as other elements with Apocalypse that didn't work out at the end. So, but hey, not really a bummer because it was a lot of fun seeing the development of that new team. So.
All right, what's next?
Christopher S. Brown asks, "The Beauty and the Beast teaser made me revisit the original and miss the art form. Will we ever see another hand-drawn feature?"
I'm sure we'll see another one. They just don't pull the same kind of audiences that the nowadays animation does. And
Which
it's just,
movie?
Will the old school animation, the Beauty and the Beast, will that come back? Will we see another one? I think we'll see another one. I just don't know how.
Hand-drawn animation and not 3D.
Yeah.
It's pretty rough. I mean, the only Studio Ghibli is doing that. You know, you have to go overseas to see hand-drawn animation come over here to the States. It's not financially feasible anymore. Most of the animation houses have, thrown away all the tables. No one does hand-drawn animation anymore. All those people have been fired. They're like, go get a job. It's rough. The idea of it is fun to think about, but the reality of it is that's the truth.
Yeah, I dig the idea, but companies like Pixar are so far and away in terms of just developing new tech for what they're already doing.
Mm-hmm.
One of the coolest things, I got to go to Pixar for an event for Inside Out, and one of the new jobs that they introduced on that film was they have this guy who sits in when they go through the dailies, and he alters what the animators make. It's on a digital tablet, but hand-drawn. So their movies have a little hand-drawn flair to it because he makes those changes as the director and whoever's involved in that meeting say them, and then the animators go back and adhere to what he has done with his hand. So it's going to be nice to see more of that.
Yeah, sure. All right, last one.
Okay, for the last one, Lou Magic asks, if you could pick one genre to stick to for the rest of your life, what would it be?
Sci-fi fantasy.
I'd say sci-fi, fantasy, horror, in action.
Sci-fi fantasy with some horror and some action.
Yeah,
in it.
combine all that, and it doesn't matter in what order.
Collider Nightmares, so horror
All right, well,
all day.
Speaking of that, we're launching on Tuesday. It is going to be Collider Nightmares, our new horror show with Perri Nemiroff, Clark Wolf, and being on that show will be Jon Schnepp and Mark Riley for the first couple episodes. What can we expect to see on Collider Nightmares?
I am so freaking excited about this. It feels like we've been talking about it for so long, and now it's actually happening. I mean, you guys know what we're going to see. We're going to see some of the horror news stories, and there's a lot of them, both in movies and TV, that we don't get to cover on this show. We're going to talk about there. We're going to open up to broader questions, too, questions about the genre, questions about classic movies, favorite characters, all different types of things. So definitely keep an eye out for that. June 7th, Tuesday. I am so excited.
We are excited about it over here. It is our brand new show, Collider Nightmares, debuts on Tuesday. Make sure you check that out. And also, Jon Schnepp's show, Heroes, is going to be on Wednesdays.
That's right. We're moving to the sweatiest day of the week, Wednesday. That's the day comic books come out. So it made perfect sense, and I'll be on the first couple Nightmares because I'm a horror fan. So it sounds like a good double punch, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then Jedi Council on Thursday. Bam, we got you covered. And movie talk on Monday, right?
Yeah,
or
movie
TV
talk,
talk.
Schmodown,
TV talk
so
on
much
Monday.
going on.
Yeah.
So before we get going here and say goodbye, Wendy, what were they saying in the chat room during the tweets? Anything interesting?
Well, for the best movie of 2016 so far, they're saying The Nice Guys, Sing Street, Zootopia, Deadpool, Jungle Book. Which stars have lost their mojos? They agree with you guys. Johnny Depp, Adam Sandler is in there, Nick Cage, De Niro, Davis Spade, John Travolta, Jim Carrey, and Bruce Willis.
All right. Well, thank you, Wendy, and thank you guys for checking in, making your voices heard in the chat room. If you're watching this on the replay, also let your voices be heard. Comment, do all that. Go, make sure you want to be part of Mailbag, collidervideo@gmail.com. So many ways to try to get you guys more interactive with every show that we're doing here. Go get involved on TV Talk, like Schnepp mentioned, Heroes, Jedi Council, Collider Nightmares, all of our brand new shows. Go and check them all out. Thank you to everyone here today. First of all, Jon Schnepp, where can they find you?
You guys can find me on Twitter and Instagram, just at Jon Schnepp. I will be in Phoenix. It's like 115 degrees right now. What is up? I'll be there sweating at the Phoenix Comic-Con. Come in and say hi to me. I got a booth there Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I'll be having a bunch of panels, including a Collider panel on Sunday with Chris Gore. He's going to be there. So bring a bunch of nerdy questions. Phoenix Comic-Con. I'll see you there.
Perri Nemiroff, where can they find you?
You guys can catch me on Twitter and Instagram at PNemiroff, and also every Saturday right here on Collider Best of the Week. And if you tune in this week, there might be a little Collider Nightmare surprise that I think you guys are going to like, so definitely check that out.
Natasha Martinez, where can they find you?
You guys can find me on Twitter and Instagram at NatashaAlexis_ and Facebook / Natasha Alexis Martinez.
And for me, you can find me, Kristian Harloff, on both Twitter and Instagram. And also check out my Facebook, where I do a lot of live videos. And we also do a lot of live videos now for Collider Video. Go to collider.com on Facebook. Join that. You can catch our Q&As that we've been doing weekly here. And check out the Schmodown, which is happening tomorrow. The Outlaw, John Roca, trying to redeem his Bespin loss against the wild man, Josh McCouga. Going to be a great match tomorrow between those two guys, so make sure you check that out. Thanks again. Thanks for joining us. Check out the TMNT review that's up right now. Check out the reaction video that both Dennis and Schnepp did for Batman v Superman, and we will check you guys out tomorrow.
Hey guys, if you like this video, click the thumbs up button. Also, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. It'll help you stay up to date with everything we've got going on here at Collider.